the garden of the writer's house.
It's really nice. And it's
Beautiful
good
day.
to see you. We're talking about a poem in this book, Vincent Katz's very fine book called Swimming Home. Vincent Katz, unless I'm wrong, is sort of loosely associated with, I would say, second or third generation. I would say second generation New York school.
Cool.
Yeah. And we have a poem here called On the Subway. I'll read it and we'll talk about it. On the subway. If I think of something that happened, what was that something that happened between two people on the subway this morning, on the way to work, or wherever it is one goes in the morning? As the day wears on, it seems it could be something one could talk about, or not, certainly not do anything about. Not now that the moment has passed. That will only be something that lingers in the mind for a little while, then grows cloudy and wraith-like. It seems so distinct, something one could always remember. All right, this is a classic approach, which is to say, we don't know what that something is at all.
Nope.
Do you want to speculate what kind of thing? Something happened. We never find out what the something is.
Right.
But why is it not important that we find out what it is?
Why is it not important that we find out what the something is?
Clearly, Vincent Katz, or the speaker, would rather talk about what that something means.
Well, it's I don't know if it's about what that something means. It's more about the process of trying to remember something. I mean, I think we've all had this experience, right? Of like working really hard to try to remember something. Like, what did I come into this room for?
I don't know if it's that short-term memory loss thingy.
No, it's not. But
as the day wears on,
it can be more than that, right? But trying to remember something is a process that we put ourselves through mentally.
But this is more like this is almost subconscious, further subconscious. In other words, something happened. What was it? On the way to work, and it might as well be somewhere else, wherever it is. One goes early in the morning. And then as the day wears on, it could be something one could talk about or do something about. But we don't. It's this mystery.
Yeah.
So what kind of thing is it? Or why doesn't he tell us?
Well, because he doesn't want to tell us. He wants to write a poem about that process instead.
Describe the process.
It feels almost more creative than remembering, right? Because it's if I think of something that happened. It's not if I try to remember something that happened. It's if I think of something. It's actually the process of trying to create an encounter between two people or trying to create a situation. It's almost like that daydreamy thing that happens where you're like, wow, what would happen if this train went off the rails right now? What would happen?
I'm
Being
coming
in that
around
sort of
to your
dreamlike-
idea that this is about memory, and I apologize for not thinking it was such, but you're always right. The last two lines, it seemed so distinct, meaning at the time, but what was it?
It's like, it's kind of dreamy, trying to recall a dream that seems so vivid the second you woke up, but stays with you throughout the day, but slowly gets kind of more slippery. And it's the sonnet, which is like adding this whole other layer.
Do you know what? I just realized what the analog to this poem is. It's Robert Frost's For Once Then Something. Here's how to prove it. Because Frost talks about that moment when the water in the well clears and you can see a pebble of quartz at the bottom, and he talks about cloudy and wraith-like. Frost does.
Yeah.
Cloudy and wraith.
Yeah,
It's actually a wraith-like cloud above. So this is and it's a sonnet. This is a rejoinder, except it's not out in the country at a well. It's on a subway.
It's on a subway.
Yeah. And the something, for once then something. So what's Vincent Katz saying about, not about Frost so much, but about that something? We can't remember it.
You can't remember it.
It
At
was
one
once
point,
distinct.
it was once distinct. It slipped out of your mind. So the poem is a process of like recovery as opposed to discovery.
The poem would not be possible if we remembered precisely. The
Yeah.
poem is about that groping around of.
What if this
about
poem
the
is about
thing.
trying to remember the Frost poem?
I really like this idea.
Yeah.
that the less distinct something is, the more like a poem it is. It's
Yeah.
a real rebuke of Frost's
Frost.
moment of clarity,
Yeah.
where he thinks, for once then something. In other words, all the stuff that you don't know because you're unclear is wiped away by that moment of clarity, and that's something. Vincent Katz is saying, no, the something is the thing you can't remember.
Yeah.
Wow, we're really discovering the beauty of this poem along the way. All right, final thought on this?
Well, what better place to have that kind of thought than a subway? You're sitting there, you're zoning
And it's
out.
so not looking down at a well.
It's not. It's the it's pretty much the urban experience is the opposite of looking down. Maybe looking down at like a slushy winter puddle.
And the great thing is, he says it might not even be a subway or wherever it is one goes in the morning. Like, he's so New York schooly that it doesn't.
Yeah.
This is not about a thing you can precisely remember. This is about urban daily life with all the encounters.
Yep.
And that's the poem, that circulation, that O'Hara-like circulation.
Yeah. Or
Anna?
Ashberian circulation.
Or Ashberian, just walking around, just riding subways.
Just riding subways, just walking around in my thoughts, taking the long way around to arrive wherever it is I'm arriving. Great.
This is good.
Yeah.
We improvised, but I thought it was very good. Thank you, Anna.
If you liked this episode, watch another and subscribe.
And join us for ModPo, a free and open course at modpo.org.